Over to our speaker, Vinay Parmer, founder and CEO.
Sounds very grand, doesn't it?
Yeah. I like that. He's going to be talking about why inconsistency kills brands.
CEO stands for chilling every day on my own.
Well, you're doing it consistently, which is the main thing. So I would like you to put your hands together for a big round of applause to get Vinay going.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's good, it's good. It's lovely to see so many smiling faces. I don't normally get that. Normally I'm frisked at the airport, asked to leave by the back entrance, and I'm not allowed to wear a backpack. But that's a whole different story. Yeah, my name's Vinay. I'm really delighted to be here. This evening I'm going to share some stuff with you today. The presentation is a bit of fun. I'm not an expert. I don't like that word. I'm a collection of experiences that I've collected over my career that I'm going to share some of that with you today to kind of just talk a little bit about why I believe that customer experience is a secret weapon and how it can 10x your marketing. It's funny, this morning I was at Venture Fest. Did anyone else go to Venture Fest over it? Yeah. And when you talk to a lot of the growth academies and the things that they do about business accelerators and all that, they have all these modules. They have sales, they have marketing, they have operations, they have finance. Do you know the module that they don't have? Customer, right? None of them have a customer module. And yet, in every business, we all have customers. None of us would be here without customers buying our products or services, right? Agree? Great stuff, good. So let me start by telling you a little bit about me. Why am I here? Why should you listen to me, apart from the introduction I gave you? So I've been involved in customer experience probably for over 30 years now. My dad was a greengrocer. He had a business in Sparkbrook in Birmingham. And my earliest memories are of being in his shop, going out to the wholesalers with him, sitting at the checkout, sitting on my grandfather's knee when he was serving and all of that kind of stuff. So I've always been in and around business. And one of the things that I noticed about my dad's business was that he had the same people kept coming into the shop. Like partly it was because we were quite specialist and we sold Indian spices and pickles and all that kind of stuff. But people just coming back. Even when a competitor opened up a couple of doors down and was cheaper at times, people kept coming back. And I was kind of like, well, why is that? And I kind of noticed the way that my dad would speak to people, my uncle would speak to people, and there was just this kind of like relationship that had developed over a period. And we'll come back to that in a second. So that's kind of my earliest memory. I then, like all of you, I went to school, but probably not like many of you, I failed all my exams miserably because I played too much cricket. I didn't revise. I thought I could fly through my exams, and that was a really bad choice, so I had to take all my exams again. Started working in a contact center when I was 18 in a bank because I kind of gave college a bit of a shot. I wanted to be a graphic designer. Actually, I wanted to be an advertising artist. Like, I wanted to design billboards. I loved the idea of creating slogans and all that kind of thing. And then I enrolled in this course, and I got bored because they kept asking us to draw naked old wrinkly men as part of the course, and I just didn't want to do that. Anyway, so started working in a bank, worked at HFC Bank just down on Summer Row when they launched the GM card, and then they launched the Goldfish card and Marbles and some of these cards. Some of you recognize, and some of you that are young enough to be my children and are looking at me going, I have no idea what you're talking about. But some of you recognize this brand. So I started working in there, and I kind of created my own, graduate program, because one of the things about me is that I have this sense of curiosity. I like to know how things work. I like to be able to join the dots, because I feel like if I can join all the parts of the puzzle together, I can contribute more than if I only see it from my own single perspective. Does that make sense? Does anyone else feel like that? Is it just me? Great. So I like to join the dots. So I started to kind of just buy people cups of coffee. I used to talk to people about other teams, not even the teams that would naturally come into contact with the work that I did, but just teams that are random. And then I kind of just built relationships. So I moved and worked in underwriting and fraud detection. And that person that rings you when you come back from holiday and say, oh, have you been to Turkey? Yes. Did you buy £1,000 worth of carpet? No. Oh, is your credit card still in your wallet? Oh, no, someone's nicked it. So that was me on the end of that phone. And then, so probably my big career thing happened was shortly after that, I got recruited and I went to work for a company called egg.com. Remember egg.com? Yeah, so as part of the team that launched it. It was previously Prudential Banking for a short period. It became egg.com, revolutionized the financial services market, really, really customer focused. It was all about how can we change the lives of our customers and help them feel more confident about their money and that kind of stuff. So it's an amazing place to work. And then I got hired to speak at National Express's conference in July 2015. And I was talking about customer experience. And they must have liked me because they called me back and we started a 3-month interim project, which turned into 6 months, which turned into 8 years. And I left there in July last year after becoming Chief Customer Experience Officer. That was my last role there. And I was responsible for driving the customer agenda in the business, driving cultural change around the customer. National Express is a wonderful organization, but it is very commercial and very operational. So really trying to get customer to the heart of the organization was my job. And so I did a huge amount of work around that. Brings me to today. So I left in July last year. I took a bit of time out. I decided in November that I wanted to start my own consultancy focusing on customer experience. I'm really passionate about it, can you tell? I'm really passionate about customer experience because I firmly believe that customer experience is a really commercial activity, but lots of organizations relate to it as like the condiment that you put on the salad afterwards rather than the main ingredient. And if you treat customer experience, my hope is that if I can share with you today information that if you can treat customer experience like a core business strategy, you will get masses of value into your businesses. So I thought I'd start by talking to you a bit about what do I mean when I say customer experience, because I guess if I asked you all what customer experience meant, you'd probably all have different descriptions. Like if somebody asked me what marketing meant, I'd probably give you a really terrible example of what it was and insult you when you go, that's not my job, that's not what I do. So customer experience is the way I like to think about it is like this. I don't know where this came from, but I saw this on a poster and it really, to me, described the perfect differences between the three kind of things that I think we're going to talk about this evening. So marketing. Marketing is invitation. It's the thing that attracts you to the thing that you want to do in the first place. But the reason that you say yes is the brand. The reason that you say yes is the brand. It's something about what it stands for, its values, what it's projecting to you, the promise it's giving you. And then customer experience is the reason that you come back. Does that make sense? Like, do you agree with that? Does that? And the thing about customer experiences is that the product of customer experience. Well, what do you think the product of customer experience is? The primary product of customer experience is memory. Because what you're doing is you're creating an experience that fires neurons in people's brains that creates a feeling and an association with an experience. And that association then locks in with the brand. So when they look at the brand, they recall the experience. When they recall the experience, they remember how they felt. When they remember how they felt, that drives their behavior. And what's the behavior that we're normally looking for in a business? We're either asking them to come and use us more and spend more money with us, or we're asking them to refer us to their friends and family and bring them as well. Would you agree? That's the primary outcome, right? But the behaviors and the things that we do are emotionally driven, right? So that memory plays a really, really important part in the whole kind of thing. Because if you have a terrible customer experience, you've got to work harder here to invite them back in, haven't you? And then you bribe them with what, like a discount or a 2-for-1 offer or a voucher because you get them back in. And then they go, oh, go on, then I'll give it a try. Not because I trust the brand, but maybe because I've had a bribe and then the experience isn't great again, and then it does that. So the relationship between the brand and the experience is really, really key, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I wanted to talk to you about 3 reasons that marketeers should care about customer experience. I'm not saying that you don't, so maybe I should insert the word more, should care more about customer experience. The first one is it's the competitive differentiator. You hear this all the time. Every year there's a report that says 56% of executives have all said that they're going to focus on customer experience this year because they see it as the market differentiator in their product and services. And then the same report comes out the next year and the next year and the next year. Every single year it's the same kind of percentage of people that say they're going to do it, but they don't tend to prioritize it. But it is. If you think about the world in which we live, it is borderless. Our competitors are no longer on the same high street. They're not even in the same town. They're not even in the same city, the same country. They can be in a different country, miles and miles and miles away, but they can be a direct competitor of your product or service. So we live in this world, and the more crowded your marketplace becomes, the more commoditized your product is. Customer experience is the key difference between them choosing you and your product or your client's product and the competitor. The second reason is the direct impact on revenue. In my experience of marketing, most of the ROI conversation happens between, I've done the marketing campaign, they've said yes at brand level, that's me done, that's my return on investment. Spent the money on the campaign, got the sale, boom, job's a good one. But the other parts of it are often hard, a little bit harder to prove, but they are probably more valuable because that future sale, the repeat purchase, the loyalty, the referral, all of those things, that return on investment sits in customer experience. And like marketers need to open up there and create the broader horizon to capture those metrics and think about how to reduce churn rate, how do we increase referral, how do we increase repeat purchase, and all those things. The ability to cross-sell and upsell, because if customers are loyal to you, they have a positive brand experience or a customer experience, they're more likely to buy from you again. Would you agree? Yeah? Okay. And the third reason is reputation and advocacy. In 1998, 1996 actually, when I started work at Egg, we were in a training, and one of the stats that was read out was about customers complaining. Now, given that we're Brits, we love to complain to everyone else except the company, right? We'll tell each other, but how often do we actually tell the company that we don't like their product or service, okay? So you've got that backdrop. So as a nation, we're not as complainy, or we won't complain directly as much as the Americans or other countries. So we've already got that backdrop. Second thing is, back then, it was something like for every one person that has a bad experience, they'll tell 10 other people. That was in 1996, roughly. What do you think the ratio is now? Like the power and the ability of somebody to jump on their phone, write a review, press publish in seconds is huge. Right? In seconds. And according to research, 1 in 3 customers will leave a brand that they love after just one bad experience. 1 in 3. A brand that they love, not one that they like, that they love after one bad experience. That's a third of customers after one bad experience. So the reputation piece is really, really important. The better your reputation, the easier your marketing becomes because the brand reputation's there. Your marketing has to work less hard. You get more bang for your buck versus if you've got a bad reputation, you have to work harder. It's two sides of the same coin. You have to have both to be successful. So last August, we went to Dubai. It was amazing. We stayed at the Le Méridien Minnesota. It was a beautiful hotel. The location was fantastic. We had amazing weather. It was my daughter's birthday while we were out there. They did an incredible job of putting balloons in the room, decorated the room. They gave I think they sang happy birthday to her 3 times in that day, once at breakfast, once at lunch, and then they sang it again when we went for evening dinner. And we managed to get out on a boat cruise, and the whole holiday was amazing. This isn't an excuse for me to just show you my holiday pictures, by the way. There is purpose to this story. And while we were out there, we wanted to do a couple of excursions. And one of the things that we decided to do was go and do some quad biking, followed by a desert safari. And we got to the venue, and within about 5 minutes of getting to the venue, my nephew jumped on one of the quad bikes. I don't know what he did, but he had an accident. Quite a serious accident. He actually cut his the back of his calf, sliced open. He came off the bike, and the back of his calf sliced open, and he had to be rushed to hospital. So literally 5 minutes there, we had to cut it short. He went off to hospital, and we decided that we're going to cut short this excursion and go back to the hotel. When we got back to the hotel, it's gone past 10 o'clock, and the kids are hungry, everyone's tired. So I walked up to the reception, and I was greeted by 2 ladies at the reception, literally that far apart from each other, pretty much. Not that much distance between them. Went to reception because we thought, well, we want to get some breakfast. Let's see if they can help us out because it looks like all the restaurants are closed. So we went up to the reception desk, and 2 of us went. My friend asked one of the ladies, and I asked the other. My friend asked this lady, she said, look, this is what's happened. Is there anything you can do for us? We'd love to get some breakfast. And the answer that she got was, I'm really sorry, the restaurants are now closed. You'll have to wait until later on. I spoke to The other lady on the other side, this isn't them actually, by the way, this is an AI-generated image. So it's, just so that you know, this, I didn't actually take a picture and go, but it's amazing what AI can do these days. I spoke to the lady, and this is what she said to me. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you and your family while visiting Dubai. Have you managed to get him to a good hospital? Yes, great. Is he recovering? I think so. Wonderful. Give me 2 minutes and let me see what I can do. Yes? Okay. I'm sending them now. If you go to the elevator and press 411, if you get in the lift, there's an executive bar upstairs that's open till 11 o'clock. They're still serving breakfast. It's a little bit limited, but I'm going to send you and your family up there. Somebody will be waiting for you at the door when you get out there. We got in the lift, got to the 11th floor. Lo and behold, somebody's waiting for us, took us into this restaurant, solved the entire problem. Same hotel, same training, same policies, same procedures. How can you have had two totally different experiences? Literally standing just a few feet away from each other. Inconsistency kills brands. It happens in organizations every single day. The example I've shared you is just one. Every day there are people in companies that are getting inconsistent experience depending on what channel they choose, what person they speak to, what day of the week it is, what time of day it is. Do you recognize any of that? Happens all the time. And in organizations, we do these things, we take surveys. We take an NPS survey. Anyone ever done an NPS survey? Customer satisfaction survey? You've got all that kind of stuff going on. And it gives us a load of data. The trouble is, it's polarized, because we get all of the great stuff here from people that love us, all the promoters here, and we get all the negative stuff over here right now at the bottom. But there's this great big silent majority that sit in the middle, where the experience hasn't been that bad that they're going to complain, and it hasn't been that great that they're going to come back. And those people will silently leave your business and run straight into the arms of your competitors. You're doing the marketing for them. So, would you like to know how we can get a more consistent service? Yeah, it'll be a plan, right? I don't want to leave you on that terrible, depressing note. There is a way that you can get around it. So, what I work with, when I work with clients, one of the things that we talk about, and actually the name Dhruva Star came from this. I should tell you why the name Dhruva Star. Really quick story. So it comes from Indian mythology. It's about a little boy who was turned into the North Star by the gods, and his name is Dhruva. So Dhruva translates to North Star. North Star is a key part of the work that I do. The North Star framework is to help organizations to get a clear direction of what they're trying to do around customer experience. Because I believe often, and most of the time, the part of the problem is that they don't have clarity about what it is that they want to deliver. There's no clear direction. The experiences in the service that people get is often depending on the person, as we spoke about. How many people have ever been in an organization where you go, oh, that person that works in that business, if we could just bottle what they had and give it to everybody else, would be amazing. We tend to rely on heroes in the business to fix service and give us great experience. And if you don't have that same member of staff again, you don't get the same experience. But this framework will help you to do that more consistently. So it's got 6 parts. I'm not going to go through all 6 parts, don't worry. I'll let you get back to your beer and your pizza in a second. I'm just going to cover 2 key elements of this framework. But they do include defining what your vision is. We're going to talk about design principles. But they include how we use customer insight, how we measure performance and the metrics that tell us what's going on, the leadership and the culture, that's really, really important. And finally, the governance and the quality assurance that we wrap around it all. Okay, but we're just going to focus on these 2 first. So defining a North Star is about you defining how you want customers to feel as a result of their experience with you. Remember what we talked about. Customer experience is a feeling, it's an emotion, and the product is memory. It's about getting clarity about how is it that you want them to feel. When you do all of this work, you get them to try your product, what is the feeling that you want them to have that will then drive the behavior that you want them to enact? So what's the feeling? So you do a bit of work on describing, and I'm going to share an example with you in a second about one that I've done with somebody else. So what do we want customers to feel as a result of the experience that they have with us? The second part is then, well, how do we get everyone on the same page? It's all very well saying that's how we want customers to feel, but the problem is inconsistency, right? How do we get everybody on the same page? So by putting in a set of clear design principles, it gives people a set of guardrails, a sort of a framework. I heard a great quote, and I'm probably going to misquote her now, from Jill, tall England female footballer. Is it Jill Scott? Is it? Yeah, Jill Scott. She said, frameworks is about having the freedom within a framework. And that's what we're trying to give you. It's trying to give people a framework and letting them express themselves and have the freedom within that framework. So here's an example of one that we've worked through. So what you might decide to do is, we run some workshops and we do some data collection stuff to come up with these. But in this particular example, with this particular client, we came to the conclusion that the emotions that they wanted their customers to feel was for them to be happy, for them to be valued or feel valued, to be cared for, and to be trusting of their brand. They're the 4 things that they were most important to. And we got that through doing a bunch of workshops. And then the bit that we got here is the design principles. And so those are the guardrails that we give people. So it's about keeping it simple. And by keeping it simple, what we meant was keeping the language simple, keeping the design simple, not overwhelming customers with too much choice. Anyone ever watched Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares? Like, what's one of the first things he does when he gets into a restaurant? He swears, yeah, swears. After he swore for the 35th time, what does he do? Simplify the menu. Often when he goes into these businesses, too many pages, too many choices, too many options, simplify the menu. You know, when you look at really good design, often there are just 3 choices. It's the illusion of choice, but kind of without the choice, but they have 3 very clear distinctions. You normally get like standard, gold, platinum, or something like that. And it's very clear what the differences are between those kind of things. So there's choice, but not too much choice. Make sense? So that's the simplification part. Again, simplifying language and all those kind of things. Because sometimes, look, let's be honest, when you work in an industry, you end up picking up acronyms and things that you call stuff that you think customers call it the same, and then you end up writing it in your copy, and it's not great because you understand what you mean, but they don't. Right? So that's about simplicity. Aim for ease is about reducing customer effort. Anyone shop on Amazon? Okay. In 1998, when we launched Egg, Amazon launched about the same time. How many clicks do you think were in their purchase funnel or their purchase process at that time? 15? Not as many as 15. It's probably, I think it was about 7, right, between 7 and 8 clicks. From choosing your product, putting it in a basket, paying for the thing, it's about 7 to 8 clicks. How many clicks does it take now to buy something from Amazon? 0, because you ask Alexa to do it and she does it for you. Or that's what my 13-year-old daughter does. I find stuff in my basket all the time. She puts stuff in there. No, it's 1 click. Pretty much you can buy stuff with 1 click. They have every opportunity to reduce the effort. Now when you do a return, you don't even have to repackage your item. You can take it to a post office, don't even have to print out the QR code. They scan it and take it, and they package it and send it away for you. So it's removing the obstacles that people have to go through in order to do things. So you're constantly looking at how do I take away steps in the journey. Making it stress-free is about, look, customer experience, as we said, is about emotion. Making it stress-free is really important, particularly in key parts of the journey that can be about high stress. In transport, one of those is disruption. Like you miss your plane, you miss your train, you miss your bus. It creates a sense of stress, right? Anyone use Uber here? Did you know that Uber is actually a stress management device? It is. Because if you remember the days before Uber and remembered ringing up a taxi firm and booking a taxi, and then feeling like 15 minutes have gone by and then ringing them and go, you just rang 2 minutes ago, it's on its way, right? But now you can see on the device. In fact, I bet you if you called a local taxi firm and ordered an Uber at the same time, the cars would probably turn up within a couple of minutes of each other. But the perception is because you can see where it is, it reduces your stress levels. So it's about signposting, telling customers what to expect next. You know, this is what's going to happen next. We've done this. These are the next steps in the journey. This is your email about telling you when your thing's going to arrive. All of those kind of things. Or this is what you need to do if you get something wrong. All those kind of things. So it's about making it stress-free, telling customers what to expect. We don't like surprises as human beings. It stresses us out. So don't give them a surprise. Tell them what's going to happen next. And finally, it's recognize a human being. It's recognize the human being. You're not dealing with a transaction. You're dealing with a human being. Metro Bank did this famously. They were one of the first banks that started to, instead of asking the customer the first question, what's your account number, it's what's your name. Just a subtle change. But up until banking was all about, you get through the contact center, can I take your account number, please? It's like, well, Okay, but there's no use for that. And how many times do you call a contact center, give them your name, and then they never use it in the conversation ever again? So just find simple ways to make it human. If you can use a customer's name, use it. If you can use it in your digital marketing, use it. Whatever you have, try and make it a human experience. It doesn't have to be super sophisticated. It can be really simple. So this is an example of one work through. If you do it with your organization, it might be slightly different. It's about, again, very much what's the feeling that you're trying to generate, and then what are the design principles. And then you go to work about getting this embedded into every single thing you do. This drives your website design, it drives your product design, it drives your pricing decisions, it drives everything that you do, your policies, your training, everything that you do is driven by the design principles. And if you do that really well, you start to build out your North Star, and then you start to build consistency, and then you start to get better brand trust, and then you have a 10x way of getting value out of your marketing. Thank you very much. And if you scan that QR code, and I won't do what he did, if you scan that QR code, you'll get to a little link tree with a bunch of stuff about how you can follow me, how you can connect to me. One of the tools I've got on there is a free online assessment that you can go through. It's about 25 questions. Most of them are yes, no, that will give you a score around your maturity around customer experience. So take that test. It's free. It's online. Anytime that you want to take it, it's in that little thing. So it should take you to like a little mock phone with a bunch of options on there.